So initially, my mind just went to, okay, y'all are so worried about the school system teaching your kids that like we dive so far into why are they teaching this or why are they not teaching that? And it's like, y'all, if you want your child to know something, you can be the one to teach them.
We know for a fact that all school systems are ran predominantly by white people. So with that being the case and knowing that, why would we place the responsibility of teaching our history on people who don't understand our history per se? What's going on, everyone's? We are here and we are back with another episode of
Is My Point Valid?
Yes, indeed. I am Brandon D.
And I am Camille A. Stocker.
And you are with us on our next episode. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump into it. First, let us say thank you to everyone who continues to subscribe, continues to show us love. We appreciate all the love. Continue to hit that subscribe button because it helps us grow and we really appreciate it. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump into the what you know good. So, what you got for them, baby?
Oh, man, I didn't even do that. Okay, so first up on what you know good, I want to kind of touch on Tyre Nichols' death, if you have not heard about it, because I had just recently heard about it. He was killed by 5 police officers who were black in Memphis, Tennessee, and he died from cardiac arrest and kidney failure. So if you have not seen that around the news, look it up. I wouldn't say watch the video, but
it's graphic.
It's very graphic. One article kind of compared it to Rodney King. It doesn't compare to Rodney King because Rodney King lived. So it doesn't compare to that. They are also comparing it to Emmett Till because his body you can't recognize who he is. So you could probably go with that one for the latter than to Rodney King. So if you haven't heard about Tyre Nichols, I would look into that. Next up, what you know good. This is about a pastor, Pastor Mike Todd. If you don't know who he is a pastor in Oklahoma at a church called Transformation.
It's in Oklahoma?
Yep. I think it's in Tulsa, but it's in Oklahoma.
Tulsa.
It is in Oklahoma, and he pastors over this church. He is a very young pastor, but some of his messaging is
off.
His doctrine is not good.
Sound.
He is telling people like
foolishness.
He's telling people like if you pray, that it's just gonna come. Like if you just pray, it's gonna come, but you don't have to work for anything. Also, that if you wear these flashy clothes and you are that makes you somebody that is not. Really, my point for talking about him is be discerning in who you choose to listen to as a pastor, as a preacher, even random people, right, who are talking about God. I will always say, go to your Bible. That's another thing. He is false teaching. He's making up things and then applying word to it, and it doesn't make sense. Also, one line that he said was that he is trying, he's doing the best he can with what he has.
Mind you, this is a millionaire pastor.
He has grown because there are a lot of people who follow. How I found him was on his series Crazy Faith, which I thought was pretty good. Then when it went into his relationship thing, I was like, this isn't right. Then when he had did the spit thing on his brother and smeared the stuff on his brother's face, I was like, okay, you're not it. Then there's a clip where he says, the hoes love hostess. And I was like, we're in church talking about the hoes? Oh, okay. And so his last sermon that I had saw, where he was talking about how YouTubers are online making videos about him, but he is doing the best he can with what he has. And I'm like, sir, you can't humble yourself a little bit and take the criticism, because people are kind of telling you out of love. And
it seemed like he's above reproach.
Right. And then he also said, you don't pray for me. I was like, how you know people don't pray for you, sir? Like, what? But just be mindful of these pastors and preachers you listen to. But Pastor Mike Todd is not it. Next up on What You Know Good. So what I've been reading, I read 2 books this week. Heads of the Colored People by Nafisa Thompson Spires. And this was a book, and it had stories in it. So it was different stories, and they would go into it. And the stories made you ponder, like, whoa, this is good. At first, it started off kind of slow for me. And then there was this one, the one that I could like go into depth a little bit about. There was these 2 moms who had little girls in elementary, and they were sending notes back and forth, talking to each other and being nasty. And this was like, the year was 1990, so that they couldn't text, or you couldn't pick up you could pick up a phone, but they were sending letters back and forth through their daughters' backpacks and saying they had PhDs. It was funny. So I give that book 4 stars. The next book, and I have it here on camera, Why We Can't Wait, and this is by Martin Luther King Jr. I have not finished it yet. I have a couple of more pages, but it's something that you kind of have to take your time on and really absorb. But it is very insightful. This is the story about everything that was happening in Birmingham in 1963 as the new Negro and the revolution of the new Negro. And this book also showed that Martin Luther King Jr. was not only fighting for Black people, he was also fighting for people, period.
All people.
He did not point out, the white people need to do this, or the white people need, well, he was saying that, but he wasn't being derogatory about white people.
And if you notice in the speech, he actually says young white boys and young white girls.
He wants everyone
Black boys. He wants everyone to come together.
Yeah. So also this was, in here it shows the letter from Birmingham jail that he wrote. So when Martin Luther King Day had come, and that week that we had did it, that me and the girls had did the lesson with it, we had read that, and then I reread it, and I was like, only people that he really called out in that letter was the clergymen, because he's saying, hey, I'm out here doing this work, and we're supposed to be coming together, because that's what Jesus did. He brought people together. It didn't matter what type of walk or what you were. Our job is to bring people closer to God. So I give this book 4 stars, and that is all I have for What You Know Good.
Yes, indeed. Before we keep it moving, just know all books mentioned will be in the description below, so check that out. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into the topic for today, which is going to be
Ron DeSantis' decision to ban AP course.
All right, so society has a way of framing things in a way that triggers Black people. And they use certain words the words that they use don't mean exactly what they say they are. There is a whole bunch of hidden meanings behind the things that they are putting out there that are so-called for African Americans. And the reason Ron DeSantis did not approve this is because all of the underlining ideology within the AP course. How you feel about it?
I think my initial thing as to reading it, because I already knew it, then I just had to read the article and to make sure that I knew what was happening and why. My initial reaction to it was, why are we so worried about the school teaching our history, if that's the history that we want?
Go ahead.
I can think about when I was in high school, I didn't even have African American studies, first off. So that was not a part of the curriculum in Texas. We did learn about, matter of fact, we learned like the basis of what you needed to like know. Okay, there was slavery. Then we learned Texas history, right? We didn't learn
the American
because we're
history.
in Texas, so
Yeah.
we didn't learn with Texas. You do Texas style, okay? So you learn about the Alamo. You learn about like really, we didn't even touch slavery in Texas.
Did you even know about Juneteenth in high school?
No, that was not a thing. How I knew about Juneteenth is
The world.
family, sure, family. Because even the world wasn't a thing.
It's not even a thing for the
It
world.
wasn't a thing. I'm talking about when I was growing up. It
Yeah.
wasn't a thing. Not in Texas. I mean, not in you. And then you have to think about the school system that I was in. I was in a predominantly Hispanic where I went to school at, so it was not.
So y'all was on what is it? What is the Cinco de Mayo? Y'all knew about that?
Yeah, I knew about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew about a lot of that. So initially, my mind just went to, okay, y'all are so worried about the school system teaching your kids that like we dive so far into why are they teaching this or why are they not teaching that? And it's like, y'all, if you want your child to know something, you can be the one to teach them.
We know for a fact that the school system, all school systems, not just Florida, but all school systems are ran predominantly by white people. So with that being the case and knowing that, why would we place the responsibility of teaching our history on people who don't understand our history per se? Why aren't we taking the initiative on our own to teach our children the things that we want them to know? Because Black history, to say let's go, even with Black History Month, to suggest that there is a Black History Month suggests that every other month is White History Month. So why are we just teaching Black history within 1 month? And with that, why aren't we at home teaching our own children about the history that we want them to know?
Right.
It's the parent's responsibility for the child. If there's something specific that you want your child to know, we should not be depending on anyone else to give or provide our children with that information. We should take that responsibility upon ourselves because we want our child to know that information. The school system is not obligated to teach you things outside of the basics, math, reading, writing, those things.
Okay, but you're saying that to go back to the basics. Some parents do not teach their children how to count before they go, right? Let's do that part.
Yeah.
So you're saying, well, my child is 5 and they need to be in kindergarten, but they don't know how to count, right? And I'm saying these are some of the basic things, right? Just that you should know.
So we're expecting too much from teachers.
Absolutely. We expect, and this goes with the African American studies.
Yeah.
We expect somebody else to do the work for us.
Yeah. And then that goes to people saying that teachers should be paid more. If parents did more for their children, then teachers wouldn't have to do so much for their students.
If parents did more with basics, then teachers would be able to do the fun things, the field trips. Like funding could go to field trips. Funding could go to science experiments, science fairs.
But they're busy trying to get undereducated kids up to speed.
Let's teach you how to read. Let's teach you how to count.
Things that should be taught at home.
Right. And I'm not saying but you can teach your child to read.
Absolutely.
If you think that you just have to send them to somebody who went to school for 4 years, and I'm not knocking anybody who is a teacher because I love teachers. Teachers are important.
And they do go through a lot.
That my family is filled with teachers. But I'm saying, I think how my mama did us, or me, I speak for me, I knew how to write my name. I knew how to read. I knew how to count.
Before you even touched the school.
Before I went into the school
system.
Before Ava and Isabel went, my goal was to make sure that they knew how to write their names. They knew how to count. And when Ava went to kindergarten, Ava didn't go to pre-K. And when she had a teacher, but the teacher was switched or something, but she got a new teacher. But the teacher thought, did she go to, and this is how people's minds work. You sure she didn't go to daycare? No, I taught my child because
what I wanted her to know.
Like
what I needed her to know.
When Isabel went to pre-K, and Isabel's pre-K teacher understood, and she was like, "Mom, just keep doing what you're doing." And
some teachers understand the importance of having a parent teacher.
And so you go back to this African American studies. There are books out there, like I was telling you the other day. If people want to know about the 1619 Project, there's a big blue book. You can go on Target. You can go. I don't know if the library has it. You can go on Amazon and you can purchase that book and you can get the information. Right now, I'm not really promoting it, but if you want your child to learn about it, it is on Hulu. So if you want to know the basis of this, there are books, like even the Why We Can't Wait. If you want to learn more about Martin Luther King, to go in more in depth, there are books. For children, there is the Who Was series. You could get books on Martin Luther King Jr. You could get books on Stevie Wonder. Like, it's no discrimination. And then, just because I am a homeschool mom and how I do it, I take different books and I piece different information together because every book is not going to have the same information. And some books won't have the correct information. So you'll find yourself correcting, oh, that's not true. And that's why I always talk about the 1619 Project, because I'm going through it and I have an issue with that number, that 1619, because I don't think that was
an accurate number.
I don't, for me, and I'm one person versus all those people who did the research for it.
The issue for me is how the number stayed the same even though years changed.
Because and here's the thing, this could go with African American studies. I read The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin, and he said that was written in 1961 or 1962. And he said 400 years ago. So I was like, okay, 400 years ago. So I did the math. Then in this Why We Can't Wait, Martin Luther King Jr. in 1963 is saying 340 years ago. Okay, that still ain't 1619. So then I started doing, the math of, okay, that book came out, it was written in 2019. So 1619, that adds up to 400 years. But even if you look at things that were like said, stand-up bits and stuff that were done in the 1990s, people were still saying 400 years. And so that's why I have an issue with that 1619, because it's like, okay, slaves did come over here on ships. Like I know that part is true.
But the year,
I'm gonna be funny, nigga, win. Like win, and I get it because people are saying, well, they have their history.
They just want the number to line up.
They know when the Mayflower came and Plymouth Rock. They know theirs, but we don't know ours. Does the number matter?
Nah.
We know
it happened.
We know it happened.
The year when it happened is not so significant when we know what happened.
It happened. And then I'm also funny about it because I have a book that says in the 1400s, Black people were here already. Now, I get the 1619, they were saying that was the first slave ship. Mm-hmm. But I think before that, I could be wrong. That's the whole thing. That's the part of the history, the research part of it. But I don't think it was 1619. And I'm just going off of what I'm reading from the 1960s, because that's 340.
Seems like there's a whole bunch of stuff being made up. And I think
to fit a narrative.
I think people just try to piece things together, like you say, to fit the narrative. Like even with the AP classes, like we're not mentioning or no one's talking about the fact that there is a section on queer theory. How does queer theory line up with Black history? Are they suggesting that? I don't know what they're suggesting with that one.
See, with that, I don't know, because there were a lot of queer people like during, the Harlem Renaissance and all of that. Even when I was looking at people when we talked about the Harlem Renaissance, and I was like, oh.
So we need to know about all of that?
I don't
even think it was that significant.
It wasn't, because they kept it secret. Or no, hold on. They didn't keep it secret. Their work was what they wanted people to see, not their personal life.
Yeah.
We knew James Baldwin was a gay man. But okay,
we were
hold on, no, because my argument don't work, because he wrote about it in his books.
Yeah. He put it on Front Street.
He put it in there.
Yeah.
But he was also writing about love connections with a man and a woman. So it wasn't just
his lifestyle.
Right. It wasn't just, but okay, here's the point I'm trying to make. We never saw James Baldwin in public with another man.
Absolutely not.
We never saw Ma Mobley, but she was a comedian, with another woman
in public.
Mm-hmm. Now they will tell stories when she was back there doing whatever. She have a lady by her or whatever, and you get that type. You watch documentaries, right?
We were just talking about there's a radio host who is gay, but we never seen him. Never seen him with a man. He doesn't even talk about that on the radio. So it's almost like it's a doggone front. Yeah, like every time they try to impose that on him, he like quick left.
Yeah, so it's interesting that we want to focus on all these theories, and we want to bring all these theories for
critical race theory.
Let's just focus on, hey, slavery happened. Slavery was wrong. I don't know if my family came from slavery. I think maybe all of us did.
And that's another thing. Most Black people don't even know their own history. So how are you going to force someone else to teach you history that probably doesn't even apply to you?
It won't pertain to you, because even with I'll go back to the 1619, because I think that's the most critical thing. They were talking about, the slave ship from Africa. And I was like, well, what if some little girl or little boy who you're teaching that to does not fit that narrative, and and they go home and say, well, Mommy, we came from
slaves.
No.
But that also goes right back to parents teaching your own history. We have to actively seek our own history so we can teach it to our children, so they won't be going to school and thinking that they're a part of something that they're really not.
And put a disclaimer, because I always put a disclaimer. When I talk about that with the girls, it's always like, I don't know if that
applies, yeah.
But this is our history.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
This is American history,
yes, and that's another thing that was good that you said. We need to stop the
black, white, Asian. It's American. If it happened on American soil, it's American history. There's no Black history. There's no white history. That's just like I was saying about Black History Month. To say that there is one month for Black people is to suggest that every other month is for white people, and that is wrong. We need all history being taught all throughout the year. I think we should abolish doggone Black History Month. How about that?
Carter G. Woodson gonna come up out of the grave and come get you.
And well, he can do what he need to do.
So is Black history being suppressed? I don't think it's being suppressed in the public schools. I think Black parents, grandparents, teachers, well, not really teachers. You're suppressing it yourself.
Parents are more devastating to Black history than teachers are.
Go to the bookstore. Use your assets. You know, the number one free place that you can go get books is the library. It's the public library. We pay tax dollars in order for these libraries to be open. So we complain about things and we have access to it. If you don't want to use the public library and you want to own the books, I know here in Houston, there are half price books, meaning you're not going to pay full price for some of these books that you see. There's Barnes and Nobles. There's Books A Million.
They even have books in the doggone thrift store.
They do. If you really want to go just look and search.
Get you $1 book.
I remember
with some valuable information.
9 years ago, I went to the thrift store and I found 2 Bibles. It was for a he and her, and I was that like those are how I couldn't afford like when
you go
nice
out there and when you go looking for stuff,
you find it.
You'll find it.
You'll find it. We had went one time. Isabel had found those Who Was series I was talking about. She found one. I think it was like 99 cents. So you look at 99 cents versus going to buy something new for $5. They're $5 books. Amazon Amazon has books. Amazon started out as a book place.
Yeah.
Another one that I wouldn't share with you, if you're looking for something not to pay full price, thrift books. I use thrift books a lot. Matter of fact, I need to check the mail. I got me a book about Black people in golfing. So history, right? We are the source.
And even in your city, there are places. They have the Black History Museum. They have the Hall. Not the Hall.
We do have one here.
Even still, American history is everywhere around you. Stop making the excuse of teachers not teaching your child what you want to know. The school system is not their responsibility to give you everything that you want your child to know. It's on you.
We are responsible. We're responsible for our children because think of this. When the pandemic happened, you panicked. You didn't know what to do. But that should have told you like how to be resourceful. What do you need? You don't need. And here's a big thing for me. We keep talking about this curriculum and people be so stuck on curriculum. Just teach, just read, pick up books. There are a lot of children's books that are on Black history right now. Dang, I'm just naming places. Right now, Target, every year in February, Target does this. They make a lot of money in February from Black folks. They have this section with Black books, Black clothing. I picked up in the dollar section. I picked up some of the books. I can't remember. I think I have Wilma Rudolph and somebody else and Jackie Robinson. But y'all, the information is out there. Even Google, you can Google some of them. Now, fact check.
Yeah,
you got fact check because some of this stuff is not true.
And mind you, it takes work. And that's what I think. That's what I think turns a lot of parents off.
You think we're afraid of work?
I believe so. Parents don't want they go to work for 8 hours. They don't want to come home and work some more.
So work on it on the weekend.
There's a lot of different excuses. What we're saying is stop making excuses.
Listen, find podcasts. I'm pretty sure you can find podcasts on information about Black history and all of this. You could even find go on. I'm giving them another source. An app called Libby, and you can put in your library card. And if you don't have a library card, go to the library and get your library card. And you put in your library information, and you can download audiobooks, and then you can play those during your car rides instead of listening to the radio,
rap music,
and all that. So, like y'all,
the resources are out there.
We are responsible, and if we want our children to know about African American studies, American history, period, we have to do the work. We have to put it in front of them, and then they could go to school on Monday, and the teacher could be like, "Where'd you learn that?" My mommy and my daddy, or my mom and my daddy, they taught me that. Well, we gonna need to teach the whole class. That's how you get change, right? You could be that change.
Absolutely. I think we made some valid points here.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Stop being lazy. Do the legwork. We just can't allow the school system or these teachers to do the legwork for you. Meet them 99% of the way, and they do the 1%.
Yeah.
That's too much. I gave people too much.
Man.
You know I'm that parent. I'm gonna do 100%.
We done gave y'all all these resources. Y'all better be using. We gonna link them down in the comments too.
I rattled off a lot, didn't I?
I'm trying to tell you. But I think it was all valid, and I think it was the helpful information so we can start being proactive in our child's lives and teach them everything we want them to know about not only Black history, but American history, because they're one and the same.
Yep.
Yeah, but check out all those resources. And before we get up out of here, we want to hit y'all in the head one time for your mind with On This Day in Black History. So today is January the 30th. So on January the 30th in 1858, William Wells Brown publishes Leap to Freedom, making him the first African American to have a play published, which would coincidentally be his only play. He also was known as the first African American writer to publish a novel and the first to have a travel book published. Of the many books in the talented author's portfolio, notable mentions include Clotel, The Negro in the American Rebellion, and The Rising Sun. His final book is the chilling telltale titled My Southern Home. So shout out to Mr. William Wells Brown and all of the things that he did to make himself monumental, I guess. Shout out to that boy. But before we get out of here, we want to say thank you once again to everyone who continues to show us love, everyone that subscribes, everyone that continues to watch, share, all that good stuff. Please continue to do it because we are trying to grow and that helps us grow. Thank you to everyone. We'll see y'all next week, Monday, right here with a hot new topic. And like always, it's love, peace, and soul. Like Soul Train, baby. Chill.